He said he can never hear me on the mic. I don't know, Caitlin, if we can do anything. Okay. Okay. Got all quiet in here. Okay, it's 5 p.m. I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. Go ahead and do a roll call. Mrs. Harden?
Here.
Ms. Heredia?
Here.
Myself, I'm here. Secretary Terrazas?
Here.
And Vice President Guadiana? Okay, that moves us to item C, board norms. Number 1, actively listen to all perspectives.
Close the loop, responding to concerns and questions of the unified board.
Model professionalism we expect from all members of the district and community, customer service orientation.
Assume positive intent.
Be positive and responsive.
Okay, if we can all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and New Mexico flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, which is a symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures. Okay, item number 2, adoption of the agenda. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
I'd like to make a move first, please.
Okay, I'm sorry, Mr. Coy, go ahead.
Yep. Under 12, executive session, I would just like to flip A and B due to one of our presenters is, have a prior engagement.
Okay. Okay, do I have a motion to adopt the agenda with that change?
I move that we adopt the agenda with that change.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All right, any other discussion? Okay, then I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of adopting the agenda signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Okay, that moves us to item 3, public input. 3A is agenda items. Is there anyone that'd like to speak on agenda items? Anyone online? Okay. Or public input on items of concern? Okay. That moves us to item 4, administration, principals, directors' reports. Item A, supervisor of food services report.
And Alma, if you haven't, push the button there on the mic. Is it green? Thank you.
So that you can see everything.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, board members, President Begay, and Mr. Corey. School year 24-25 is here, and the days are flying by. The enrollment for the school year is 944 with ADMs as follows. Bayard, 156, Central Elementary, 129, Hurley, 112, Samlo, 80, Snell Middle School, 202, Cobre High School, 265. We serve over 1,500 meals a day, on time, all the time. The Cobre Food Service Department had an admin review in May of school year 2024 and another one during the senior summer program 2024. Both audits were closed with no findings. Having a perfect review with no findings makes it easy for us to continue to provide free breakfast and lunch to the students of the Cobre District. New Mexico is only one of 9 states to provide free lunches in the 2024-2025 school year. At the present time, we have 10 students with special diets, which includes one with Crohn's disease, along with religious diet. All students requiring special diets have doctor's orders on file and are being provided with the required substitutions. The Cobre Food Service Department has been allocated over $8,000 to use for New Mexico-grown foods. We will continue to purchase from Frontier Food Hub, who is our provider here in the Silver City area. On Friday, Mr. Corey, Alicia Edwards from Healthy Kids, Healthy Communities, and myself were notified that Cobre Food Service has been awarded the New Mexico Golden Chili Seed Award. The award ceremonies will take place on Thursday, October 24th at the Indian Pueblo Cultural Center in Albuquerque. The Food Service Department will be providing the after-school supper for the students that are taking part in the Generation Genius and Lego Robotics starting September 9th. We're just waiting on numbers from Ms. Cholita. The Cobre Food Service Department was informed this morning that we have been chosen to participate in the 2024-2025 National School Food Study. Bayard Elementary and Snell Middle School have been chosen to do the study and will be submitting data to conduct this survey.
Thank you.
Questions?
Any questions?
Of course.
We all looked at you first, Gilbert, so go ahead.
Rubber stamp on that. The award that you just mentioned, when, can you give us a timeline?
It's new.
The National Food.
It's new. This is the first time ever that it's ever going to be conducted or ever done. And they said that they're going to send us more information, like point of contacts and enrollments and everything for the schools that got chosen. What it is, I mean, I really have no idea because we've never done it.
It's pretty exciting.
It is.
Very cool.
I think it's going to give us good information,
And it was
good feedback.
Bayard Elementary and.
Bayard Elementary and Snell Middle School
Snell Middle School.
will be submitting data. I don't know.
I appreciate your report, and I appreciate letting us know that there's special needs being met.
There is a lot this year, more than ever before.
And is there anything that is hindering you from meeting any of the requirements that?
Not yet, not yet.
It's gonna happen?
Not yet. Parents do think that they don't need a physician's doctor on file, but we need it. I mean, it's a regulation. It's a USDA regulation that we need those doctor scripts on file so that we can be able to comply with whatever their needs are.
But the scripts are for medication.
No, not
correct?
medication,
It's for
just
diet as
diets,
well?
just diets. I don't know, we don't do anything with medication.
Okay. I just haven't heard the scripts for.
Yeah, no, we need a doctor's prescription that tells us what the child's diet is and why it's that way. And that's it. Meds, I don't know anything about meds.
Are we behind a lot on the scripts?
No, we're on them.
No, I meant the parents' reluctance to turn them in or.
Oh, no,
Okay,
no, we're good,
okay.
so far.
And part of the reason to have this is that if you do have barriers, let us know.
Oh,
That's-
most definitely.
That's really what
Yes,
we want to do.
yes.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
My question, go ahead.
And just congratulations to you and your staff. I mean, when you bring those numbers to the table, 1,500 students a day that we provide meals, breakfast and lunch, I mean, that's a good feat to you and your staff, so thank you.
I just wondered if you were going to go up and accept the award.
Yes,
Okay.
most definitely.
All right.
And if any of you would like to come, you're more than welcome. It's a first-time thing for us, and we just got the seed, okay?
I saw
There's
that, it has potential, it says.
Yes,
Okay.
to grow well, because, you know, the New Mexico grown is a big deal now, and we're all learning and stuff.
Okay.
I had a member that say, "Oh, no, I wanted the golden." I'm like, yeah, me too, but we'll get there.
One day.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that moves us to item B, our Human Resources Coordinator Report. And once you finish, please feel free to leave and go home and have dinner with your family. Don't feel the need to sit here and, unless you want to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Madam President, Vice President, board members, Mr. Corey. So I just wanted to give you guys an update on all of the staff members that we've hired, and also to let you know or to show you the openings that we currently do have. So since July, we've hired 4 new administrators, 6 teachers, 3 of them were sped, 6 new educational assistants, 1 health aide, 2 library aides, 1 administrative assistant, 1 maintenance warehouse clerk, 3 sports positions, and 1 food services position, which total 25. And I've also processed 13 applications for substitutes of all different, they've wanted to be teachers, educational assistants, custodial, and then I've also done 6 applications for classroom volunteers, which entails all the backgrounds and getting them licensed and all of that. And then as you can see, these are we're moving up, or we've actually taken a lot of the positions off that we've filled, so I'm really happy to see that it's gotten a lot less. And let's see what else. Vector training has been really big. I'm staying on top of that every week. I try to send out the weekly reports to all of the schools to let them know who's on top of their assignments and who's slacking. Just because it started on July 1st and the deadline is September 30th. So we've been doing that. That's keeping me busy. Smart Find Express, we still have a lot of quirks to work out on that. So, and I get calls, I don't know, maybe 10, 12 calls a day from staff on that. So that keeps me really busy. And then just the normal day-to-day stuff, it never ends. But other than that, everything's going well. You guys have any questions for me?
I do. The teacher of the deaf part of Kenya, is there a substitute for that right now?
I don't believe so. Do we have a contractor for that?
So we have, there's different positions, and we have contractors for certain positions, and then some of them, we keep these posted, even though we have contractors in those, because we would like someone to come like live services instead of it being online. So that's one of the reasons you'll see a lot of these sped positions posted. So say the speech and language pathologist, we would love for those. We have one person that's providing those services live to our students, and the other ones are online. So we would love for all of those services to be provided live instead of some being online and some not. Hence why we keep them posted. Because if somebody came along and said, hey, I want to come to your school district and I'll do live services, absolutely yes.
Especially those like a speech and the hard of hearing, that would be hard for the students, wouldn't it?
It's kind of hard now to find those types of people. A lot of our
Yeah.
students are getting speech online,
Mhm.
which is unfortunate, but we have to meet their service requirements.
Outside of that very same issue, but if a teacher isn't here that's able to do that, particularly for the deaf and hard of hearing, do they not get services, or is there a time that a special ed student doesn't get services because we don't have a provider?
There would be, there's 2 scenarios in that. One of them, the services would have to be made up. So if they're under an allotted amount of time of services, they're receiving X amount in a month, and we miss that, then we would have to provide those services in makeup. And then if you're talking about, say, a special education teacher, the substitute, we would have a substitute in that position that they would receive those services through that substitute. So there's 2 scenarios we work through on that.
And is there a tracking or a measurement that you have to say, okay, we are meeting as many as we can, or are we going other more than what we would like going into that makeup period?
So very seldom do we ever get into the makeup time. It does happen sometimes, but most of the time, we are meeting or exceeding students' services.
And there's a venue for complaints, I would assume, that would,
Our community is very well aware of that because they use that system very regularly.
and would you mind adding a report to that effect to the board as to how many times there's complaints and what was the remedy to them?
So when the special education
Yes.
coordinator, we can add that to it.
I'd appreciate that. The other question I had is the fellows. I really don't ever see very much advertising and I don't know, so what is the effort to get more fellows? Because I had a whole lot of hope when that started out, and I think that's probably one of the best ways to grow our own, and they stay here. So,
Right. So we do flyers, we post them on Facebook, we send them out to the local universities. Well, we send it to Western, we even send it to Cruces, and then we have them posted on our windows. We have received applicants, but they're not majoring in education, and that's one of our stipulations, is that they have to be going to college for education.
any of our part-time or substitutes, do we like actively try to recruit them?
For the education, the fellows
For the
program?
fellows, yes.
We ask, but a lot of them don't, they're not interested in going to school, and so that deters them from doing that. Yeah, but we definitely do ask and let them know that it's out there.
And the graduating classes and stuff like that, they don't,
We haven't had any luck with that. Maybe we can do something with the high school, through the innovations grant with the seniors, to give them the information and see if they're interested in it, and maybe recruiting that way. We can definitely do that.
Well, I know some were discouraged because they thought the funding was gonna end last year.
Mhm.
Cause they announced last minute that there would be funding for it. So
Right.
maybe that deterred people too.
Yeah, I haven't heard of a lot of that, but I mean, it very well could be, so.
Okay. Any other questions?
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, that moves us to item C, Bayard Elementary report.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, members of the board, President Begay, Vice President Guadiana, and Superintendent Mr. Corey. I'm Mr. Sasso, Principal of Bayard Elementary. So I have some Bayard Elementary School updates, some initiatives that I started here at Bayard Elementary, and they've been well received by teachers and the community as well. So talking about academics, something that I started, and I think Ms. Roxanne from Central kind of gave you like an introduction, is an intervention time that is embedded during the school day. Because we know that a lot of teachers can't stay after school and do tutoring and do the after-school programs. We know that students need to get intervention because that's when the true teaching happens, and we cover those academic gaps. So we did an intervention time for the upper grade level in the morning, for the lower grade levels in the afternoon. And it's been wonderful because it's not just the teachers doing intervention, it's also me as the principal, our librarian, our fellows. So it's teamwork where everybody goes into the classroom and starts doing intervention. And intervention in small group, you know, when we could truly differentiate and meet the academic needs of every student. So that's been happening now for 2-3 weeks, and it's been wonderful. We've seen the results of the intervention. So I was talking to Roxanne, and she liked the idea of having that intervention time during the day, and she's doing it also in Central. So I think it's really important for principals to collaborate and do what's best for our students, because at the end, it's all of our students. Something else that I also implemented at Bayard was Solution Tree PLC. So I was trying the Solution Tree PLC, which stands for Professional Learning Community. And that's where we meet with teachers on a weekly basis. But the way I structure my PLCs is we always start with good things, with positive things, because it's important to have a positivity from the beginning, because we as adults, we're the role models of our students. And I want my faculty and staff and myself to be positive all the time, because that trickles down to our students, our scholars. So our PLCs, we start with unpacking the standard. We look at the standard, the way it can be teach, it can be placed in that layer 1 instruction, and then we create an assessment. It could be an exit ticket, it could be the comprehension quiz from iReady, but I'm really big on backwards design, looking at the assessment and at the rigor it's gonna get assessed, and aligning that to a layer 1 instruction. And that truly makes a world of a difference, because I had teachers have those aha moments when they see the assessment and then they connect to the layer 1 instruction. Now moving on to school culture, something that I've done in my previous schools, and it's really great for school culture and spirit, is our cheerleader team. So we had tryouts on Thursday, and it was a huge success. We had a lot of students try out, parents came in. It was wonderful for the students because they got the opportunity to try out. And me as a principal, every student that tries out, they got into the one team, because they have the drive, they have the effort, and they have, the will to be part of a team. I accept them we created 2 teams, and we aligned it to a Ron Clark initiative. And it was wonderful because, the feedback from parents from the community was really positive. And that's something that I'm really big to create a difference with the community and the students, obviously. I know one of our students, Sophia, she was really excited, and she made it into one of our teams. So that's something incredible, because we have to think that students is not just the academic. We have to think of the whole child, academic, artistic, social, emotional. So it's important to target all of those needs, not just the academic. Something else that I also done was the school dance. I've done it before, and I didn't know about the buy-in from the community and the students and the teachers, but 98% of our students attended that back-to-school dance. We sold out of the items. It was a great fundraiser. Students had a wonderful time. And again, it's all about school culture and making a school an inviting place for students that they want to come in. And of course, we had our Ron Clark housing system. We made the sorting event. I uploaded all of our students into the app, and we'll have a monthly event that students will compete. And again, it's wonderful. It's all about the sense of belonging, healthy competition. And we're continuing doing our terrific kids as well. For discipline, I'm really big on creating a culture that is not punitive, because a lot of these students, they need positive reinforcements. They need a welcoming environment. So something that I started was the positive referrals, where going to the principal's office doesn't have to be a negative thing. It can be something positive. So we've had positive referrals so far, and I make those phone calls home, but I made those phone calls home with a positive message. And I had parents cry, say, I've never gotten a positive call from my son before, and this made my day. And again, it's all about being positive with the community, with parents, and celebrating good behavior instead of just calling them for, negative or misbehavior. And aligning to that, we have our discipline quadrant, which is progressive discipline, because at the end of the day, we don't want to give out referrals like anything. We have to be progressive with our discipline, again, trying to create that relationship, that rapport between teachers and students, so they find a plan that works for them. And then finally, we have our vacancies. We have our 3rd grade teacher vacancy that I'm really trying really hard to fill in as soon as possible, because those students in that class, that they can really perform really well academically. They just need somebody to be there and get that ball rolling. And also, we have our SPED 8 vacancy. Any questions regarding the initiatives or the vacancies before we start on the academic data from our BOI? Okay, perfect. Now moving on, we have our IMESA BOY data, and I made it comparing to last year's BOY data. So let's start with 3rd grade reading. So last year we have 29 proficient in 3rd grade reading. This school year we got 38 proficient, which is 9 points more, and we're above state and district average. For 3rd grade language, we're a little bit below compared to last year, which was 29. This school year we got 21. However, we're still above state and district average. With 3rd grade math, last year we had 0% proficiency. This school year we got 4% proficiency, but again, we're still above state and district average. Moving on, for 4th grade reading, last year was 13% proficient. This school year we got 28% proficient, which is again above state and district average. 4th grade language, last year was 26 proficient. This school year we started 38 proficient, which is wonderful. And it's above state and district average. And then fourth grade math, which is our area of focus, math is our area of focus this school year. Last year it was 4% proficient. This school year we got 0% proficient, which is below state and district average. And then fifth grade reading is our grade level to celebrate because they're well above state averages. Last year, there were 36 proficient. This school year, we started with 65% proficient, which is unheard of. I celebrated our teachers because that's amazing, 65% proficient. State was 32, district 29, so we're almost double the state average. Fifth grade language, we got 59 proficient, which is again a big improvement from last year, which is 32, and we're also above state and district average. And then fifth grade math, last year was 0% proficient. This school year, 17 proficient, and again, we're above state and district average. So we celebrated our IMESA BOY data because, I mean, we're off to a really good start. And looking at our lower grade levels data from the BOY iStation for kinder reading, we have 40% proficient this school year as compared to 28 proficient last school year, which was an improvement. Also in kindergarten math, last year was 23 proficient, this school year was 28 proficient, which we're making improvements from last year. First grade reading, we have 44% proficient, last year was 45, just like 1% less than last school year. And then first grade math, we have 38 proficient, which last school year was 17, which was an improvement as well. And finally, we have second grade reading with 57% proficient. Last school year was 39. And then second grade math, 10% proficient was as compared to 13% proficient as last school year. So I feel like we're off to a solid start at Bayard. I know with our intervention time, working with our teachers in the PLC, weekly PLCs, and covering gaps every single week will definitely make a big impact in student academic achievement. But like I mentioned before, it's not just academics, but also the social emotional well-being of our students. So I'm targeting the whole child, not just academics, and I feel like Bayard's gonna do awesome this school year. Thank you. Any questions?
For the interventions, are you guys focusing on math or ELA or a combination of both?
That's a good question. So we're focusing on both. So we're dividing. It all depends on the need of the grade level. But for now, some of them are doing 3 days reading, 2 days math, or 3 days math, 2 days reading. Once we start the 4-day schedule, it will be 2 days math, 2 days reading.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for all the work you've done in these last few weeks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Of course. Have you taken a forensic look in terms of looking why the scores are so bad in math?
So it is a statewide, issue that is going on, and not just here in New Mexico, also in Texas. And I think that has to do a lot with how we present math. I know like for example, us, when we grew up, we learned math through the abstract model, just through the standard algorithm. When students benefit when they see it on the concrete and pictorial, which is concrete, the hands-on, pictorial, the drawings, before they can move on to the standard algorithm. And that's something that I'm doing in my PLCs, having teachers kind of first reflect on their craft, because teaching is a very personal craft. So, and it's for them to get to know the student, not just in academic viewpoint, but also in like I was saying, the whole child, because every student has different learning styles. So going back to the math question, it's all about how we approach our lessons and having high expectations for our students, because I know our students can learn at high levels. And that's the mindset that we're shifting, that we know we're coming in the classroom with high expectations for our students for math and reading. And actually, we do have high expectations, and we set up our students for success. So for math, you have to be very strategic, because with reading, it spirals a lot. It spirals, the standard spiral. With math, you teach one skill and you move on. But you have to be very strategic to make sure the students are reviewing that skill so they don't forget moving on. So with math, it can be tricky, but you have to be very strategic so students can also have good data.
You mentioned the parent committee, and I had heard from many parents complaints about the method that was being used to teach math, that it made it more difficult, and rather than just doing the simple formula. Do the parent committees take a look at strategies, and do they see the data that we're seeing, so they can come and let you know how it is affecting their child and what they think could be better?
Yes, definitely. Actually, one of our teachers, Ms. Valencia, she communicated with all the parents about the BOY data. She said, you know, parents, I need you to collaborate with me and give me your feedback and input because we had really high scores for our BOY data, but I'm gonna need you to support me and help me give you your feedback. So our teachers do have that ongoing feedback with parents, so they get to know where we stand, our BOY data, and maybe any feedback that they have, any input, we always appreciate that. And I'm always open to collaborate with parents. Any events that we have, we're pretty soon gonna start our PTO, so we can have parents come in and have a solid, you know, system in place for parents. But definitely, I've heard that with Common Core, we had parents that were concerned of the way math was being presented. But because we're used to the standard algorithm, you know, adding, subtracting, that's the way we learned back in the day. But now students, you know, students are different, our demographics, our population, students' attention span is different. So we need to be more strategic and move on into first the concrete pictorial and then at the end the standard algorithm. And it's just a matter of informing our parents that, you know, the way we learned in the past now maybe is not the best for our students now, but we have strategies for them to differentiate and meet their unique academic needs.
Okay. You're new, welcome.
Thank you.
And as one of the things I brought up before is the use of the state data and as a benchmark for us to compare ourselves to. And being that we're last in the country, I don't think that that's necessarily the best measure. So at some point, I'd hope that we'd be coming up with our own measurements, trying to get to the potential that is there in front of us, rather than that's at a level that is not really that acceptable. to begin
Exactly.
with.
And you have a good point, and that's what I tell my teachers at Bayard, is that we're above state average, but I know our students can do much more. They can
Yeah.
earn at high levels, because I've seen it before. I've worked as an administrator in Title I schools, and those students can learn at high levels. They can really master the standard. They just need somebody that that believes in them and supports them. If we have people at the school that believes in our students, they can master those standards and learn at high levels.
I greatly appreciate that, because if we're looking at, okay, we're better than the state, and okay, we've met our criteria, we haven't. And
Exactly.
I really appreciate that perspective.
Yes, thank you.
And I just want to say that I love the idea of the cheerleader team, because I've never seen a cheer team in the elementaries, and there's really not a lot of outside activities for kids in this community, like how there is in Las Cruces, where there's tons of programs, and that's how they can get really good and compete at high levels. And I just think that the cheer team, not only is it going to give them that confidence and get them excited about school and a sport, but it's going to give them those skills they need and maybe the confidence they need to try that in middle school, and then even give them the skills and they'll continue on through high school. So I think it's really great.
Thank you, Ms. Herrera.
The other question I had is, do you still have that part-time math interventionist?
I do, Mr. Rosa, and
Okay.
he's wonderful.
And is he
He's awesome.
working with all grade levels or more upper grade?
As of now, he's helping us with our intervention time in the
Okay.
upper grades. And so he's focusing right now with the upper grade levels, but we can always work with him so he can work with the lower grade levels as well, because that's the foundation.
Perfect, thank you.
Just a great report. I just looking forward to seeing the MOI.
Okay, yes,
And we can
me
see
too.
that, see that Thursday.
We're gonna grow, definitely we're gonna grow.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a good afternoon.
Thank you very much. You're welcome.
Okay, that moves us to item D, Principal of San Lorenzo Elementary.
Well, if that one's not a hard one to follow, hope he's not going anywhere so he can help me answer my questions too. So first, just to start out, piggybacking on who already presented, just a shout out to our cafeteria crew. At San Lorenzo, we get complimented a lot on our food tasting good, and Lydia and Kathleen do an excellent job. So shout out to them first of all with the food service. And to Norma, who always answers the phone, even though I do. I'm probably all 10 of those calls every day. So thanks to her for continuing to answer the phone. So our enrollment this year, so I was a little concerned at first because we did lose 12 students from our school, and they moved to Some of them moved to district schools, but some of them farther away. Some to Colorado, some to Cliff. So we just lost a lot of kids. And I was a little concerned. And then we gained 19 new students at San Lorenzo.
Wow.
So we're pretty proud of that, actually. We got a lot of new faces around there. So our numbers actually look pretty good. In fact, I think we could use another teacher. Hint, hint. So we were at 80 students, and just in the last couple of weeks, we did have some transfers out. So we're now at 77, which actually still is pretty good for us. It's up from last year. And to start the year, we were going to have kindergarten by itself. First and second grade was going to be a split. Third grade was going to be by itself, and fourth and fifth was going to be a split. Because our third grade is where we lost some of those kids. They were only at 8 students, so this year, first and second grade is split, and then we moved some of our second graders to second and third grade with Ms. Tomler. So that's actually working out really nice. I'm glad that we made that move, and it kind of evened out our student numbers. You can see over on the other side there. So I did include our dash plan, even though it hasn't been approved yet. I think it will be, as we worked with our coaches from the Southwest REC on the dash plan, and so I'll be surprised if it's not approved, or at least small changes that we'll make to that. It focuses mostly on formative assessments and interventions for Layer 2 and Layer 3 students, much like a lot of the principals are saying about their schools. That's kind of where we need to work. I feel like formative assessments, that's where we scored low on our self-assessment. And I think that is where we lack a little bit, because we're waiting for these bigger tests to see how our kids are doing, and I think we need to see how they're doing along the way more often. And so that's what we're going to work on. And then, of course, the interventions. Our interventionists, we do have Ms. Ross and Ms. Pettis, both that come, both of them part-time. They're veteran teachers, and they do an excellent job for our students. I think what we need to amp up a little bit is the interventions that are being done by the classroom teacher. The last page I included is what we are using, and this again came from our coaches at the Southwest REC, and they helped us kind of get started on this, and we're already using it. This one that I provided to you is actually for ELA, but there's one for math as well, and it just helps us track what we're doing every day with our students to help them every single day. So anyway, you're welcome to read through that. Again, it hasn't been approved yet, but I think it's pretty solid. Our iStation data, I think for the beginning of the year, it actually looks pretty good. Students obviously tend to come down just a little bit over the summer. But in reading we look pretty solid. I think by the end of the year that our scores are going to be exceptional. I see what's going on in my classrooms already, and I have really high hopes for where we're going to be. Our math scores aren't quite as good. We hope to improve on that. We have some changes that we've made to our math, how we're teaching math a little bit, and so we're hoping that that shows up in our scores, because obviously we have to do something different. Doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result isn't helping us. Also, I would like to add that I did ask for iStation math for 4th and 5th grade. Not all the schools in the district have that. But again, going with our formative assessments and looking at progress monitoring across, the entire, I want that data more often. And so I think that if in 4th and 5th grade, we're just waiting from the beginning of the year to the middle of the year, I wanted more data than that. So I did ask for 4th and 5th grade progress monitoring on iStation math, and we got it. So I'm really happy about that. IMESA, are our scores where we want them to be? No. Are we surprised by this? No. We saw our scores. You guys remember our scores at the end of the year for our second graders weren't great. And we know why. We know why. They didn't have a teacher for quite some time, and it showed up. And so they didn't grow a lot over the summer. And so we're still there. What we are going to be surprised about is what this data looks like at the end of the year, because it's going to be really great. I think the teacher that I have in the 3rd grade has a gift. And that's across the board. 4th and 5th grade, I feel like for the beginning of the year, they look pretty good in language usage. 5th graders were at 57% 6% proficient. I have no students in the 5th grade that are at needs support, so our 5th graders are looking pretty good, and they've had a strong teacher for 2 years, and then that shows up. Again, math, in IMESA, our scores just aren't where we want them to be, but we're gonna make some changes. In our SPED, so actually our SPED numbers, we have 13 students at our school that are in SPED. 5 of those students are speech only. And we were, in meetings today, and we have some kids that are ready to exit SPED. And so we're really proud of that too, that they're making that progress, even our special education students. In SAT, we had 7 students. Moving on down to our houses, away from academics. It's been fun. The house system's been fun. How we sorted our students was fun. They spun the wheel. We did them in groups. We actually kind of copied the high school a little bit on that one, and it worked great for us. We haven't done pre-K yet. That's actually coming this Friday. And then for our competitions, we've been doing competitions on Fridays, and it's been super fun. And so they all win, whatever team wins the game. We play the game that they play in PE all week, so they already know the rules. And we play that game, the winner wins the spirit stick. It takes us about 30 minutes on a Friday afternoon, and the kids love it. Behaviors, I put that I had 2, but after today, you can bump that right on up to 3. So nothing too crazy. The behaviors that we've had at our school this year have just really been somewhat non-existent. And I'm going to knock on wood somewhere.
That's what I was going to say, knock on wood.
But, and I give all the credit to my teachers who have exceptional classroom management. And our kids are just behaving well. And we have a really great group of students this year. In saying that, kids that behave well, you walk into classrooms and you look at the engagement of students in what they're learning, and it makes a huge difference whenever they're doing what they're supposed to do. Our cameras actually have helped me out on my write-up today. So our cameras that have been installed are phenomenal. They've helped us out on a lot of things. I go back, I can look at them. My kindergartners think I sit there and watch them walk down the hall every single day, but they wave at me on the camera. So they're super cute. But, I even brought them in. I'm like, see, look at what you're doing, because some of them are running down the hallway. And so even just to show them this is what we see, and it makes a huge difference. And so kudos to whoever got us all those cameras, but they've been great. And the new radios have been great too. Our open house, we did offer some food, so we got a pretty good turnout, but we did have 60% parent attendance, which is pretty good. And we had 12 parents sign up to be on the parent advisory committee as well. Our community support, members is really a special place. It's different, I think, than some of our other communities, and we really get a lot of community support. We've had supplies brought in, we've had clothes brought in, we've had money donations. I just made a deposit today. And they just help us out, and they support us a lot. So shout out to our community out there. Harvest Festival's coming up. I hope you all come and buy an enchilada. Of course, that's our biggest fundraiser of the year. It does fall on the Friday of fall break, so I hope that doesn't affect us a lot, but either way, we're looking forward to that as well. And they are already getting ready, and it takes a lot to plan that event, but it funds us for everything for the rest of the year. So it's a huge event for us. Our trunk or treat, last year we had an amazing turnout for our trunk or treat, and we're not that far, but we're kind of far, and our community is a little bit separate from what goes on here, and we already have people signed up to bring trunks to our trunk or treat, so just know that that's coming along. And the Good News Club is like a friendship club that's a group of community members formed, and it's like a little after-school program on Mondays, actually, and they've had really a good attendance from our students for that too. So just our community working for the good of our kids too. I did include a walk-through checklist that we actually created together as a team during PLC, and it's just helpful for me. It's just what I see when I walk through, and I can be in a classroom for 2 minutes and I can check what goes on that list, and it's just helpful for me. The teachers came up with what they thought should be happening in their classrooms, I agreed, and so we just made a checklist. I walk through classrooms 2 to 5 minutes, and I can check exactly what I see. It's immediate feedback for me. I felt like my feedback last year wasn't great. Sometimes, you know, I wouldn't give them the feedback that they needed, positive or, you know, to build them up in other ways. So anyway, I'm hoping to improve on that, so that's just what I have here. As I walk through my school, San Lorenzo is unique in a lot of ways, and this year I'm just blown away by what the teachers are doing there. Amanda Dominguez has put in more hours than what she will ever get paid for. She's painted and she's organized and she's done all of these amazing things to make her classroom perfect for her students. And Miss Moronis, not Rooney, Miss Moronis, who has transferred from the district, has just been a delight, and she's happy all the time. And I walked into her classroom the other day, and I told her, I said, I think we should rearrange this just a little bit. I said, I think it might help you out. And she's like, I got 10 minutes, let's do it. And I'm like, anybody who will improve their practice in 10 minutes, shout out to them. Miss Armendariz is an absolute pro at teaching 2 grades. She can juggle 2 grades better than anybody I've ever seen do it. And so, you know, sometimes you're like, oh, my kid's gonna be in 2 grades. If you're in Miss Armendariz's class, it doesn't matter. Ms. Topmiller has truly a gift of teaching. And you walk into her classroom and it's unbelievable. You never walk into her class, never have I walked in there in the last year and a half, year and a month that she's taught there. And she is not teaching. Every minute is golden for her. Miss Alcorta is also a gift to our school, and she teaches 24 kids in 2 grades, and that's a lot. It's a lot, and her lesson plans are beautiful, and what she does is beautiful, and how she arranges how she does education is beautiful. So shout out to my teachers, because they're what makes San Lorenzo what it is. Any questions? Mr. Guadiana? I'm ready.
If you insist. The 2nd grade that had problems last year,
Yes.
now I see it in the 3rd grade, that being the same population. And it's really significant in
It
terms
is.
of where they are in needs of support. And nothing on target.
No.
So what particularly is being done there?
Well, we have a teacher this year, and they both, so 2nd grade's actually split. So part of them are with Miss Armendariz's class, and part of them are with Miss Topmiller. And just the instructions improving is what I can tell you. And they're getting interventions from Miss Ross and Miss Pettis. Our lower students do get pulled, but even our higher students are not performing like they should. And there's obviously high students in that class, so where are they? And they'll show up. They'll show up. So I mean, I think that other than just they're getting good teaching.
And you mentioned Ross and Pettis as the interventionists. What do they specialize in?
ELA.
ELA?
So math interventions I do not have a math interventionist, so they're being worked with just with their classroom teacher.
Are we trying to get a math interventionist?
So when you hear of the other school having a math interventionist, they receive special funding for that, and that's what they've chose to use that special funding for. That's the only school, Bayard is the only school in the district that receives that special funding. And so, yeah, we would love to provide a math interventionist across the board. It's just a funding problem.
So is it we're constraining ourselves to get that funding source, or are we looking for other resources that could possibly provide that position?
Other than probably grants, which we write every grant that we possibly can. As far as, these are the kind of things that we would hope that the state would understand the importance of and fund.
And good luck with that.
I know, so.
Have you considered implementing what Ms. Ogas and Mr. Sosa is doing at Bayard with the embedded interventions at the end of the day? And maybe that be a focus on math?
So right now, I feel like what we're doing with interventions is working. I mean, I'm ready to see our scores go up before I guess I can tell you for sure that it's working, because right now it's just my opinion. It's not based on anything. We have implemented a different kind of supplemental math that we're hoping also is helping students. They're doing some fact fluency that we're helps them, because they've got to get those up before they can solve the harder problems. I've watched my teachers, they're doing interventions every single day in math. I mean, I feel like we're gonna get it.
Okay.
Last question is, the parent involvement there, is that the same as was discussed for Bayard in terms of they'll be seeing the scores of,
Yes.
and they'll be coming up with their suggestions or
Yes.
identifying
So
the
last year
problems?
we had the same thing, and it was very successful. And I had about 15 parents last year too. By the end of the year, I didn't have quite as many that would attend, but I felt like it was very successful in a lot of ways. I shared with them a lot about kind of what I shared with you guys tonight about what we're doing, their suggestions, but they need to know what our data looks like too. And you know, this is what it looks. If you want to know what a good educator is worth, look at our scores, because that's what they're worth. We've got to have good educators in the classroom for our scores to go up. That's the biggest thing.
And we can't fault that teacher that took her much deserved time off for
No.
her child, and now she's back, and so I think by MOI we will see.
Well, and even the consistency over the last few years at San Lorenzo hasn't been great. I mean, our teacher, we're not retaining teachers there, and I don't know if it's because we're kind of far out, but I know the kindergarten rollover's been pretty high. You know, our third grade position we've had some turnover in that one as well, and so I think, you know, teachers come in and they're brand new, and we start them, you know, from the bottom up, and even if they come from different districts or whatever, there's always that learning curve. And so hopefully we can retain the teachers that we have for a little while and get more consistent.
So when did that kindergarten rollover start?
Well, Mr. Gordy, whose fault was that?
I really like the checklist. I think it's great documentation, because you'll have a specific date and a time, and, I mean, you save that, right? And then when the teacher evaluation comes into play, you just boom, boom, boom. just
Well, and
go
even
through it.
for them, and so like I try to walk through at different times of the day. So sometimes in the morning, you know, you can go through the checklist and you check them all, right? Because at 8 o'clock in the morning, everybody's engaged and everybody's fresh, and by 2:30 in the afternoon, maybe it's not quite as good. And so I think even that feedback on different times of the day, what it looks like in the classroom, is helpful.
I'm really excited to see what this one will look like in the MOI, just because, I mean, obviously we all know the impact of having a teacher, especially a good teacher like you mentioned, how that affects the students. And then I think just the summer too. I mean, they didn't have a teacher for that long, and then they went through summer, and summer seems to be this weird black hole that they go through, and then they forget everything, and then they come back. So I'm really excited, especially with the teacher that you have in the third grade now, to see what happens in the MOI.
I have a question. Is there maximum amount of students that a teacher can have?
I think it's 24.
Okay.
It goes to
That's because-
averages.
That's
It
because
depends
that's your
on
highest
averages.
class?
Mhm.
Except kindergarten, I think is 14, isn't it? Or were they allowed an 8 or something like that?
There's an 8 and then there's a cap when it's
Okay.
higher than 14.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that moves us to item 5, action items. Item A, approval of the regular board meeting minutes of August 12th, 2024.
Madam Chairman, if I could have the opportunity to ask a couple of questions still of the HR representative, Norma, that came up in the thought process of what we're doing now with teachers, and one is,
Hold on, are you able to come back up? Okay.
Good thing you didn't take off to dinner.
You should have when I said go enjoy dinner with your family.
do you, can you present next time retention data? How many teachers have left? what percentage have stayed? And do you conduct an employee survey?
We do not since I've been here, but it's something that we can definitely look into doing.
That would be interesting, and then
Okay.
presenting that as well.
Okay.
I would greatly appreciate that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sounds good. You're welcome.
I think it's been done in the past, because when I left here, I did an exit survey on paper. And I think it was like 10 questions.
It is something that I know has been done in the past, but we have not.
We don't know where those exit surveys probably are.
Yeah,
Okay.
And I think in the last couple of years, we have not done it.
Okay.
And they weren't willing to share them with the board. Kind of tells you what goes on. Back then, anyway.
Any other questions?
I think that's it.
Okay, thank you.
You should go enjoy dinner with your family now. Okay, so that still puts us on item 5, approval of regular board meeting minutes of August 12th, 2024. Is there any discussion?
Nope.
Okay, then I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the regular board meeting minutes of August 12th, 2024.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, that's approved. That moves us to item 6, old business. Item A, discussion on disposition, use, or storage of artificial turf excess previously stored at the high school.
I saw the pictures that you sent, so those are the ones that were moved there, and so that really answered my question.
Okay, because I
months in
was like,
process.
we've been on this a couple of times. We reached
Yes.
out to coaches. One of the coaches said some was used to do the batting cages. But I'm guessing, this is a total guess, that all that was laid out there, and then they loaded it all into the containers. And as you can see in the photo, 100% guess, but that's what I'm assuming, because you can see how many rolls are packed in here. It's a lot.
And that was on the outside, and all of a sudden it wasn't there, and that's what
Right.
drew my attention. There's still some on the outside, and I understand they're still gonna try to look, getting those in maybe another storage, because that looks pretty full.
Mhm.
And I think moving them there is actually a very good idea, instead of just letting them stay in the sun.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Okay, that moves us to item 8, our finance committee report. We did not meet at this last meeting. We didn't have anything to discuss. Mr. Ryan didn't have anything for us at the moment.
Number 7.
I think you skipped one.
Skip
Deb.
7.
Oh, I'm sorry. Number 7, new business, update on the high school and middle school replacement building.
So I would almost say we're on hold right now until we're able to go out to the community for a bond. Once that's approved and we have those funds approved, we would just continue the process like before. So we have to have money, is pretty much what they told us on the last run. We have to have something to contribute to the complete total build. If my memory here serves me correctly, I think we can go after about 6 million. And then we would use that, of course, on the design probably, and then ask for the waiver on the continuance of the complete project.
The ratio that we have now on our bond, I think is gonna be 100% of it is gonna be the technology bond, with the exception of, we'll probably still have the SB9 money, but the general obligation bonds, I think, have already expired. And the general obligation bonds are the funds that we can use, along with the SB9 money, which is not that significant. That's the only money we can use for payment for the buildings. And so having the higher, the bulk of the money coming from technology bonds puts us at a difficult place to be able to meet our requirements for providing $6 million or anything close to that.
The 6 million, I think the figure is of what we can bring in through that bonding capacity.
Yes,
has-
through the bonding capacity,
Right.
but the bonding capacity is mostly the technology money, which we can't use for capital projects. So we're gonna have to look at some point, decreasing our technology bonds and going back and asking for general obligation bonds.
I thought that 6 million was from general obligation,
That's-
when Frank talked to us, not from the technology
Correct.
bonds.
That's the impression I'm under as
That's what
well.
I thought
The
too.
technology bonds, I mean, the general obligation bonds, they've been used.
No,
That-
he said there was still 6 million available.
Mhm.
When he gave
That's-
us his report, not the last month, but the month before, I'm almost positive he said we had that from general obligation.
Right, the technology is completely separate than what we're talking about now. That's why I'm saying I think we have the ability to generate $6 million that we can contribute to the project.
Because it was 2017 when we ran the last general obligation election, bonds election. And that's 7 years ago, and the bonds last 6 years.
I'm just going after Mr. Ryan's report, and I know
Okay.
we were there, thinking that we were ready to go. I mean, we had our presentation ready to go, everything, and then the feedback from them is that we have to come with something. And then, of course, our decision was made to wait for the election to go out to the bond and not do special election. And so once we do that, then we'd be ready to go again.
So this November, we're gonna see general obligation bonds?
Yes.
It's not, I don't think it's on this
Not-
November.
not this
It's
November, next November.
We're a November away.
Okay. Could we have a follow-up meeting, discussion on the next meeting again and see where we are with, technology bonds versus GO bonds? Thank you.
Okay, I already gave the finance committee report. Sorry, I didn't see item 7. That moves us to item 9, the audit committee report.
The audit committee did meet last week, and we had a discussion. Present at that meeting were, of course, the audit committee members, and we had a new member. And we also had Audrey, who is the head of her company that does the audit for us. And the state auditor was also there, that being the more significant participant in that audit. There were several deficiencies that were cited. The plan now is to go to preparing our response to those findings as our corrective actions, and then making decisions on what to do if there are going to be issues that we're going to bring up that will try to recover some of the funds that were identified in the audit as being misspent, as well as possible other actions.
Okay, any questions?
And then I think we decided that we're now gonna meet, every 2 weeks.
Okay,
Yes.
all right. That moves us to item 10, board members' reports. Mrs. Harden, do you have anything?
Not at this time.
Ms. Heredia?
Not at this time.
I just urge all of us here to attend the Region 8 meeting so we can get our hours, our school board training hours. David, Secretary Terrazas, so we don't end up on New
Not
Mexico
pointing any
Vista's website. And I think it'd be good for us to go as a group.
I agree.
And I think that's it for me.
And dinner on David for having 0 on here.
Secretary Terrazas, do you have anything?
Just real quick for Mr. Gropp and counselors at Cobre, have we identified a student rep for us yet? Do we know? Okay.
Okay. And Vice President Guadiana?
No, I did go attend the open house at the high school. And unfortunately, there wasn't a lot of parents running through there. But the teachers were there. They provided a lot of information in the places where I met. And there were things that were presented that expectations of what their assignments were changed kind of at last minute, and that wasn't really a participatory process. So that, and I know you're new, so that's not reflective of that. But there's probably a little bit more dialogue that we could have with the teachers when changes are going on to seek alternatives or explain why.
Okay.
By the way, and the volleyball game was awesome. 5 games they played. There was 3 out of 5, so they went all the length with Gadsden. And the 7th grade, and the C team did very well. The B team lost there towards the end too, but the high school, I mean, the varsity did lose like about with 3 points in the 5th game. They lost the first 2, came back the second 2, and played. It was an amazing game, and so kudos for the participants, the teams, and the fans. It was a great game.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to give a shout out to the teachers. I think Ms. Heredia and myself can relate that it's tough coming back to school, getting back in the routine, but they show up day in and day out for those kids, so thank you. Okay, that moves us to item 11, our superintendent's report. Item A, discussion on idea of putting public input requests online.
So during one of our superintendent meetings, this is kind of a hot topic right now on the different ways that the rules are being implemented. This seemed to be a very popular one, and I included it in your board packets for your guys' review. And so it is a system being put in place greatly across our state. And so really just for you guys to review and see if it's something that you would choose that you would like to do, or how you would like to do the public input or speaker recognition or those kinds of things. And so it's completely up to you. I just wanted to show you some of these that are being implemented across our state. So
I loved it. I loved the idea that people could go online that want to, and I'm sure we'll still have the option for people to come fill out the handwritten one. But I know some people have said, well, I can't make it to the office to fill it out, and so having one online would be nice too.
I agree.
It's just reaching out in every way possible that people can participate however they would like.
I have some concerns about the process, and it is good that it can be done online, it's available online. I think that's very good. But the instruction is to raise a concern about any personal attacks and demeaning comments and different things like that. And there's really, that to me is, I think, overdone in this process. I don't think we really have to prepare everybody to say you need to be civil. The other part is that there's no mention about, there is mention about the constraints that we have for public input that's not on the agenda. On items that are not on the agenda, we can't engage in that conversation. And that should be specified, it should be clarified that that is because of, it would be a violation of the Open Meetings Act. It's not something that we just decided we should do. That because it's not on the agenda, we can't discuss. And then furthermore, if we go as far as going and saying that if you want that discussion, you can request your item be placed on the agenda for, then we can participate in a dialogue in that. And I think that's a critical absence that really separates what we had before with the previous board, where people come in and make their comments, bear their heart out, and the response was, we'll look into that, and no response after that. So putting their item on the agenda, I think, gives them a voice that they don't have otherwise.
So if you heard, these are just examples.
Yes,
And
yes,
you
yes,
as a
yes, yes.
board can decide however you would like to do that. So I'm not disagreeing with anything you said. These are just for your review.
Okay,
I think keeping the part about, being civil, I think in this day and age, we have to reiterate that. I mean, as a classroom teacher, I've had some difficult parents that have come in that have been uncivil and have used some pretty ugly language and physical threats. So I would love for that to stay in there. And that's just my opinion, because I've had a couple bad experiences. And I don't think that we want to make that clear that we don't want them, belittling our employees, our teachers, and us. So that's my take on it.
The term I use is we are public servants, but we are not public dumping ground. And
Yes.
people need to treat everyone with respect. So,
Which includes the observation of freedom of speech.
It does, but we need reminders. I think all of us need reminders at times.
So there are some fundraisers that are in your packet for your review, and that is all I have for you this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Corey. That moves us to executive session. Executive session notice is hereby given so that the Cobre Board of Education will meet in executive session for the following purposes. So we switched from item B pursuant to section 10-15-1H of the New Mexico Opens Meeting Act, section 12-6-5 of the New Mexico Audit Act, and 2.2.2.15A3 of the NMAC for the auditing firm and superintendent to update the board and legal counsel to advise regarding status of a special audit. Item A, limited personnel matters as permitted under section 10-15-1H2 of the, specifically so that the board can discuss and legal counsel can advise regarding status of a complaint against the superintendent. And item C, discussion of collective bargaining strategies as permitted under section 10-15-1H5 of the New Mexico Open Meetings Act. I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session.
I move that we go into executive session.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. I'll do a roll call vote. Mrs. Harden? Ms. Heredia?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Secretary Terrazas?
Yes.
And Vice President Guadiana.
Yes.
Okay, so we are in executive session at Okay, item number 13, reconvene in open session at the conclusion of the executive session for a statement affirming that no action was taken in executive session and that discussions were limited to personnel matters, the special audit, and the collective bargaining strategies as specified in the agenda. I'll entertain a motion to reconvene in open session.
I move that we reconvene.
Do I have a second? Thank you. Do roll call vote. Mrs. Harden? Ms. Heredia?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Secretary Terrazas?
Yes.
And Vice President Guadiana.
Yes.
Okay, we are back in open session at 7:50 PM. I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
I move that we adjourn.
Is
I
there a
second.
second?
I
Thank
second.
you. We are adjourned at 7:50 PM.